welcome to Newsmakers for this Monday, September 16th, 2024. I'm Louis Butko, and today we're shining a light on one of the biggest demographics that make up the city of Hamilton that doesn't always get its fair share or even fair coverage. That's students at McMaster University, and to do that, I'm very pleased to be joined by fourth-year political science and communications student Mackenzie Barwell, even while still in university, finishing off her bachelor's degree. She's a rising star in the sports broadcasting world, serving as the digital host and in-stadium host for Hamilton's Forge FC. In addition, she's done work for Canada Basketball, One Soccer, and currently works for the McMaster Marauders as a digital media assistant, and also co-created and hosted Marauders Mondays, highlighting athletes and their stories. And I'm very pleased to be joined by Mackenzie today. Hey.
Wow, thank you so much.
You can never doubt me for not doing my homework.
That was such a phenomenal intro. I'm like, who is that?
Thank you. Well, I did just rip that video from the Ticats, so shout out to the Ticats.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thank you, content
Dano,
team.
content team, the rest of them.
TV.
Corey's moving on to new and exciting. Sorry.
I don't want to think about it right now.
Okay.
For those of you who don't know,
I was just about to say,
coolest guy ever, content creator for the Ticats.
Really starting this podcast with some inside references.
Yeah.
That's how we get people hooked. It's very specific references to people we know.
And that no one will get.
Thanks for doing this.
No, thank you so much for having me.
I've decided you are my Gen Z expert. You are Gen Z, first of all.
I am so happy to be that for you.
Okay, you are Gen Z. Do you feel Gen Z?
I think so.
What does that feel like? What is that?
It's knowing the slang, Louis. Like if I throw out like a couple words you don't understand, that's an indicator that I am Gen Z and you are not. Low key.
Is that one of them?
Yeah.
Is that one? Okay, because like I can get the general like Riz.
Yeah, sure. There you go.
Okay, is vibes one?
Vibes. Okay, I'm not even gonna classify that as a Gen Z like word. I think that Gen Z use it more, but I think you could totally get away with using vibes.
It's just a feeling, though, right? What about so
like aura?
Okay.
Aura.
See, I said that one first.
Yeah.
I said that
You're
one
right
first.
there. You get it.
Aura. I'm like right there.
Listen, you're not too far off. We may as well be both Gen Z experts.
Yeah, I'm not. So that's why you're my Gen Z expert. But you're also a McMaster student. You're in your fourth year, and I think it's pretty important that here we're a couple weeks into school. You helped with the move-in process, but even to a more basic level, what does it mean to be a Hamiltonian living in this city, going to school in this city when you go to Mac? How do you feel connected to the city at McMaster?
Oh man, it's being a part of something, a part of something bigger than just school. I think I realized that when I started joining different clubs at school, and even just right away with the move-in process. As you said, I was a part of orientation week, so that's essentially the people who welcome the first years, cheer them on as they're coming into school, and just connecting with them on things that aren't the program that they're in or aren't the age that they are. You know what I mean? And it was really cool to have a perspective as somebody who's involved with the Hamilton Sports Group, because I get to recruit students to come out to Ticats games and Forge games, and it's just one big community. And I think I underestimated that when I first got to school.
And I think, especially being Gen Z and the way that high school didn't really end normally.
Yeah, I was going to say,
high school was never normal to begin with, whether that you're in that Gen Z window where, maybe your grade 8 graduation experience transition into high school experience wasn't quote unquote normal. Maybe the transition out of high school into college wasn't normal during COVID. So do you find that you have a different
experience?
Obviously, yeah. But how do you feel like that's different from even people that who are older that, sometimes they might razz you or little things like that?
Yeah, honestly, I don't think that I got gypped in any way by COVID. I think maybe the year above me got that. I, unfortunately, in high school, grade 12, for example, was very much online, no graduation, no prom, that kind of thing. But when I got to school, to your point, there wasn't a lot of in-person events, but there was still enough to connect with people, go into my residence building and hang out with the people next door. Yeah. So I don't find that it really affected my experience too much. I think that's a testament to McMaster, though, because they could have easily folded, I think, and just said, okay, we're wrapping up COVID. We can't really do that much. But they really went out of their way, at least the reps, for example, that I was in contact with, the community that I was around, to still make things happen, even if it was a virtual event or maybe a distance in-person thing. So, yeah.
I mean, that's you, though, too, right? And especially as somebody coming into first year, seeing these students come in, having been there now 4 years, how was it trying to push people out of their shells? Because that's basically what you did, and you had to. And I'm sure there were people who are like you who took to it, who took to it easy, who took to it easier.
Yeah.
But those students who maybe it was a little harder to break them out of their shell.
Do you mean like as a rep this year?
Yeah. I mean, even like as you've been doing it, how this cohort, especially that you find yourselves in, like you said, as a grade 12 who had a weird year, how do you feel like now you've about to graduate university, how these 4 years have changed?
Yeah, it's really interesting to look back on, honestly. But I think it's just like building the trust with the students coming in right away, you know, showing them like what their university career or like experience can be like, and the amount of people that want to just see them enjoy it and succeed in that. And just because like I wasn't, as I said, around as many people right out the gate, like I didn't have people cheering me on as I was moving into my res. You know what I mean?
Masks,
like
staggered,
crazy,
waiting in line.
It was that.
Sidewalks with all your bags. We can roll the viz.
Yeah, we don't need to reminisce, to be honest. But I still felt that sense of connectedness, and it's the same thing that I'm trying to make sure, you know, the students experience this time around now that we're, you know, right there. But I don't find in any way that they're a little bit more hesitant or timid. Don't get me wrong. It is weird having a bunch of people crowd around your car as you're trying to like unpack your clothes and things. But I think it's all about like building that trust and just having genuine like conversation and dialogue with them, being like, hey, welcome. This is a lot right now, but you're going to have a fantastic time.
So when people say Gen Z only know how to TikTok but only know how to text, like what Gen Z doesn't know how to communicate? Like,
what are you saying right now?
I'm just saying, when people say that, like they're so disconnected but so connected, tuned in, but they can't hold a conversation. I'm sure there's people who are listening to this.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Who are thinking, oh, you know, my grandchild
is on our phone all the time.
Exactly, but can't have a conversation. Yeah. Like that's.
It's so. I think.
Well, how do you take criticism? How do you take that criticism? That they're on their phone all the time. They don't listen. They got an attention span of 25 seconds.
Like, I don't know. I mean, I feel like the science will prove me wrong in that maybe our attention spans are normal. I feel like it's definitely going down. I can't deny that, but. Yeah, I think that we're just naturally connected online now, but that doesn't make us any less competent at communicating in person, you know? We have these shared experiences, and whether that's maybe technology as opposed to what it was when you, this old guy, was younger.
I think they knew that was coming, and
I teed that up really nice.
Did you see that?
They switched
You
back.
have them on. I think they anticipated. That is great directing.
Great frame directing.
Great directing,
but
Mike
you know what I mean? Like we still have shared experiences in that sense, and it doesn't make us any less. Like we still have those relationships and in-person events that aren't making TikToks, aren't content creating. It's just a part of the time.
Okay, so true or false? Gen Z doesn't drink as much as maybe previous generations did.
Ooh, doesn't drink as much?
Yeah. Because like my college, so your college experience is still like, because like I'm thinking of my like going to like parties at like Western, like to my friends' parties. I went to Niagara College. I was a little nerdy broadcasting kid. But I would go to like Western, like when my buddies were living in res there, and there were parties. Like we'd be going to keggers on weekends.
I'm gonna say false.
You really?
I think they.
Okay, they party as hardy as.
I think you're giving yourself too much. Like you're not.
Okay,
you're not special.
I am very well aware of my lack of specialness.
No, but I think
it's my show, and you're insulting me.
Sorry. Let me know my place here.
Special.
Let me come back to
that'll be the clip.
The title. Just quote that actually. No, I'm gonna say false. I think they do the same. I mean, I can't really. I'm kind of speaking on behalf of the entire generation, which might be false. So
you are Gen Z experts. So
I don't know if we were comparing both you and I think I would say true. I don't think I'm on your level. I don't think I'm there.
All right. That was a rumor I'd heard that Gen Z isn't as big of a party.
That's fair. I feel like that's probably something that people would guess. Yeah.
Interesting. Back to being a part of Hamilton though. Like how much you're pushing people to 4 James, but like what do they do in Hamilton? How much of Hamilton do students
Not
get
enough.
to see?
I'm going to say it right now. Not
Yeah.
enough. And I feel like I was forced out of the McMaster campus, and I'm so grateful for that because it's kind of like a little safe bubble. Like you can do literally everything you want in there. Hang out with your friends, go to eat, go to like different events that we have on campus. And I didn't realize how much there was beyond Mac until I started working at the stadium.
Yeah.
You know, whether that's like, for example, Supercrawl that just happened. Like, and luckily I think a lot of people obviously went to that, including students.
Because of the great CHCH coverage we had, yes.
Absolutely,
Yep.
absolutely, yes. But yeah, I think
But like the trails, the waterfall. I mean, like they're
So
like,
much, yeah.
even like you said, out of your McMaster bubble. Like I'm thinking like Fortino's. Like you're not going down.
no, you're not going past 14.
You're not going past Fortino's. That's what I'm saying. So you're not going to Dundas, even though you're technically Dundas. You're not going to the Bruce Trail.
Yeah,
You're not like,
yeah.
Because that's the other part of Hamilton is like there's a certain level of city that I feel like a lot of
Absolutely.
students don't see.
And that's something that I'm really working to promote, to be honest. Like now that I've gotten a taste of it myself, it's so important to me that like students have an experience proximity-wise beyond campus because there is so much to experience, whether that's food, music, sports. Like I think that Hamilton is such a cultural hotspot for those kinds of things, and it's very underestimated in that sense.
Fourth year, so you're thinking about what's next. Like I said, I threw that compliment at the beginning, rising star
Thank
in the
you,
broadcasting world. But like your friends are thinking about graduating, people you've known since first year. Where are they talking about staying in Hamilton? Like, I mean, it's all about where you get a job, absolutely.
Yes.
But friends, do you have friends who stayed this summer and made it a home type thing, or is it still kind of a really student
I think
September to May type lifestyle?
unfortunately, I think it's the latter.
Yeah.
I have a lot of friends, and one of my roommates are on the basketball team and like just different sports teams. So it's easier for them to like stick around and train and stuff. But I will say, like, the conversation is not normally, how do I find a job in Hamilton post-grad?
Yeah.
You know, like obviously I have an incentive, like building the career that I have in this community, but unfortunately that's not like the norm, I would say. What was your experience at the time?
So like, yeah, I mean, don't put the questions.
Well, I'm just
on me.
genuinely wondering.
Don't put the question. I don't
Sorry.
like being interviewed on the podcast.
I am the interviewer normally, okay? I can't help it. I can't help it.
No, like for me, like because where are you from?
I'm from London.
Okay, so I'm from Niagara. I'm from Fawn Hill.
So you're
I went to
slightly
Niagara
closer.
College. Yeah, so I'm on TV
Mm-hmm.
in the closest city to me that I could have been in TV.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why, like, that's kind of why I'm here.
Yes, yeah. I feel a little more far removed from London, right? Yeah.
I still live in St. Catharines. So, I mean, if you're putting this question back on me.
Sorry.
Like I say, I still feel a part of Hamilton.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had this conversation with Kyle Becker. And you can appreciate it too. Like, Kyle grew up in Oakville, right? And there was just that question. And that's where I'm building up to this
Yeah.
after you cut me off. At what point did you feel like, okay,
is home?
This is home, yeah. Hamilton is home.
Immediately. Honestly, immediately. I think I was just going to say that. Like, even when I'm in London, I'm thinking, and my mom gets mad at me because I always talk about going back home, and she's like, you are home. You are home. But it's just like, it just slips out because that's what it is. And I think I built that right out the gate when I was in school. Like, in first year in residence, I felt so at home, and that, as I said before, is a testament to the McMaster community specifically.
Yeah.
But in my second year, after that, when I started working with Forge and got a taste of what the actual city was like, it just felt so tight-knit, and I felt like I could find my spot in that
Yeah.
sooner than I actually realized. Yeah, so I guess I just feel like I've built so many relationships and that I'm really almost a part of a family on, like, in multiple senses, one being Hamilton Sports Group and one being Mac.
And Hamilton's so big too, like, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like, not London's, it's a big, like, bit of a jump, but like
Yeah,
to be
and, like,
embraced like that, yeah.
And I have my, like, the places that I love to go, like Dundas. I love coming here for coffee. Like, I have my spots that I go to routinely, but at the end of the day, it is the people that are here.
Yeah.
You know, like, that's what makes me, not to get sappy. Sorry,
you
don't shed
did
a
it.
tear on me there.
You did
But that's what makes me feel at home, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Like-
Because like I was saying, like, for like, it was one of those things where it was the first time, like, when you're not from here, that you step in and defend here, right? Like that's really like the first time.
That is so true.
That's
oh my
really
gosh,
like the first time you can say, like,
People-
when did you really feel like Hamilton was? I'm like, and I can recall like the first time someone tried to shit on Hamilton. I was like, well, okay, like hold on.
No,
like,
and you know what? That is so true. I should have said that, to be honest, because I go back to London. You can imagine what the Western students are saying. Like, I don't know. It's frustrating when they ask, like, why did you decide to stay there over the summer, or what do you even do for fun over there?
Yeah.
And the amount of like rage, like it is deep rooted, you know? And you're right. That was such a turning point for me where I'm like, I am defending this place like it is my home because it is.
Yeah. I just drove by it. You know, it was one of those cities you drive by on the Skyway type thing. And it's like, no.
It's not. It's
hard work. And I think working for like Forge and Ticats, like it's like, you do get that little like, oh, it's a blue collar, because everyone's going to say it.
Yes.
Every person who comes in through the town, Bobby's going to say it. You know, we try to play like our city, you know, like, you know, blue collar, and like again, like it's overused. I would like sometimes I think by just the general population of just Hamiltonians, blue collar, hardworking, put on your hard hat, put in your shift type thing.
And then when you actually get immersed into it, it's like, wow, there's so much more than that.
Yeah.
And I think
you still defend that. Though. And you still defend it's a blue collar, it's a hard hat city. Like you find yourself saying it yourself.
Yeah. No, but I remember when I was trying to decide where to go to school, it was either McMaster or Ryerson, or what was Ryerson, now TMU. My parents took me to both campuses in one day. So we drove to Toronto from London, and it was their sport media program. So obviously I had a big incentive to go there. Yeah. But as soon as I stepped on campus, I just didn't feel right. I don't really know how to describe it. And then 45 minutes later, came to Hamilton, I stepped on the Mac campus, and I just didn't know. And mind you, I'm in political science and communications. That's not really
a direct
streamlined to sports journalism or sports broadcasting. Yeah. But I took a chance on it because I just felt it like as soon as I got there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your career now that we've gotten there. Still in school, like I said, communications, poli-sci. Forge FC, in-stadium host. I remember the first time meeting you. You came in. You were with.
I remember.
Yes. Someone's like, somebody wants to meet you because you actually had listened to podcasts. Had seen the Forge FC
This is crazy. This is genuinely crazy to me. I forgot that happened.
Yeah. We were like right in the entrance to the Caretakers Club.
Oh my gosh, I'm so happy you remember that. I remember you looking so caught off guard. Can I tell the story from my perspective?
Okay.
Let me just talk over you.
Yeah.
Okay, so I got the job as the digital host, and I had in-game hosted before, so I knew what that would look like, and I had a general idea from my own experience, but I was very new to the digital hosting world. So naturally, I get on my computer, Forge FC digital host, lo and behold, yours truly, Louis Butko, comes up.
I pioneered that role, by the way.
Genuinely
pioneered that
all the credit to you. You did. Because the amount of podcasting I watched of yours,
that's what I mean. Like, I'm here to say sorry. I'm here to say sorry for having to watch all that footage.
Oh my, give me a break.
Sorry for watching all that footage.
No, I took notes. I remember this. I probably have one episode that you did with Alex, memorized. Yeah. It was when he came over to Canada and you were asking him about what he knew, and he was talking about hockey and stuff. But yeah, you were the trailblazer for the digital hosting role.
But that's the thing. Like, you were way more prepared than I ever was for that job, having done that little bit of homework.
Sure,
but like that natural, like you and Bobby. I remember I've texted you a bunch of times about this. Like you're like the way you and Bobby, like he just drops his guard, and like Bobby's an intense guy. Especially when you get to see him firsthand. Bobby Smirniotis, Forge FC head coach, for people who are listening. He's an intense guy. He yells. You see him at practice. He cares. But there's just something, like, where did you find that skill? Because it is a skill.
Thank you.
And I think sometimes, like, people who can do that, and I'll include myself in this, don't really take advantage, don't really see it as a skill. It's just like, oh, it's just something I do.
I think only recently I realized that it was a skill. I felt like conversations like those and building relationships with somebody who seems outwardly stoic, like Bobby Smirniotis, it just came naturally to me. But only when I started hearing from people like you or even my boss or just the Forge community, like, how did you like, we've never seen the side of his personality before. How did you do that? I realized, okay, I am good at this. You know, I have that ability to bring that out in people.
On camera, too.
On camera, which can be very...
It's one thing just to do it in a conversation
Yeah.
and trying to make a connection. To do it with lights like this and cameras on you, like, it's something different.
Yeah, I think, though, too, like, building that relationship off camera helps. Obviously, it translates into those interviews and things like that. But I think what worked for me was just being myself and making sure that I wasn't trying to follow what a traditional broadcast or traditional sports interview would look like.
Yeah.
Like, I think I got my job because, as you mentioned earlier, the video series that I created at Mac, that was strictly to get to know the player or the person behind the player, you know, who they are aside from an athlete, or who they are, for example, Bobby, behind his coaching role.
Yeah.
And so I remember, like, a couple episodes in, I said, we're going to do rapid fire questions, and I'm going to ask you about your life, you know, and like who you are and what your pregame routine is and what you have for breakfast on a day-to-day basis. And I think it was a combination of that, realizing that I genuinely cared and people want to know who he is, and also making an effort and being intentional about getting to know him off camera and making sure he knew that I was a trustworthy source, because it is intimidating, as you said, on camera, like. And it goes back to athletes too. Like, this is not traditionally, I think they're intimidated by interviews and just are under the impression that we're trying to get out a certain narrative.
Yeah.
So I think it was just proving to them that I'm on your side, you know? I want to give you a platform to just, like, tell your own story.
Sounds very familiar.
Yeah.
No, and of course, a lot of those Forge FC fans are Barton Battalion fans.
Shout out the Barton Street Battalion.
Yes. The Barton Street Battalion, iconic supporters group of Forge FC. I will admit, I've never in-stadium hosted before.
Really?
I've never in-stadium hosted.
I think you would be so good.
That's my one. So I've done, like, I did the players' announcements for when they won. That actually surprises me. When they won gold, or when they won the second time or third time, some fan celebration.
Like the
and then you took the job away. Then you took the job away from me. And I sent you a very strongly worded text message.
Listen.
Where you asked for advice. You asked for advice.
Oh,
and
sorry.
I said no.
You're like, this
and I'm
is
like,
my
no,
job.
sorry, I don't give advice to people who steal my jobs.
And that's fair.
And I was...
And then you proceeded to give me the advice. Because you always
advice.
put on this, like, front where you're like, you stole my job, I'm not giving you any advice.
True.
And then 2 minutes later, you're like, okay, you're doing a great job. Like, here's
you just
what
need to remember that I will never not hold it against you stealing my Forge FC job. Getting Kyle Becker to turn against me.
Whatever.
Kyle Becker turning against me.
I think I was on his podcast before you were.
Speaking of Forge FC, something really cool happening. Spark Summit happening at the end of the month. There's been a few of these. You've been a part of them.
Yep.
What does it mean to you to get to see things like this? Women coming together, supporting each other in a field that you've been passionate about for so long.
Oh, man. It is genuinely the coolest thing. The coolest thing. Like, I was a part of it last year, just... like, in a brief role just as a moderator, because it was on a game day, so I'm multitasking as the in-game host. But we have such phenomenal speakers, and we have such a strong and tight-knit community that, you know, comes to this event. And I think that's one of the biggest things that make it so special, is how intimate it is. And growing up, I had idols. I had my female broadcast idols, like the Lindsay Hamiltons, like the Kate Burnesses, but I never could have imagined that there would be an event where I could sit in the audience, or as an interviewer, sit on a panel and ask questions and have opportunities to network with them afterwards. And it's just so important that we dedicate a space to women specifically, you know, because I think oftentimes there's this misconception that it's everyone for themselves, especially when it comes to women in the industry, and that we're all kind of going at it and just competing for one role. But I think being a part of the Hamilton Sports Group, honestly, just in general, has really opened my eyes to how inclusive it really is, and how much women want to see other women winning, like the Natalie Sextons, like the Patrice Whiffins. They are truly some of the coolest and kindest people that I've met, and it was such an eye-opening thing to work with them and to be a part of the Spark Summit, that the most successful women in this industry are the ones that are lifting the other ones up. And that's exactly what the Spark Summit is about. It's about inspiring, empowering professionals in the industry, but also the girls who want to be a part of it, and showing them this is how we did it, and this is how we're maintaining success in it.
Well put. I think that's a great way to end it.
Really?
Yeah. I mean,
Louis,
I
thank you.
promised I was going to keep you 2 hours, but I guess I'll let you go a little bit.
That was so fast.
Yeah.
Where's the timer on this
There's
thing?
no timer. We just go.
Okay, that was phenomenal.
No, it
Thank you
gives me
so
an
much.
excuse to bring you back.
Oh, okay,
Deal?
yeah. Say no more.
Okay.
Deal.
Is
Appreciate
that
you.
say no more, fam? Is that
Oh
people
my
not
God.
say fam? Okay,
Give me a break.
we started with me getting embarrassed by my lack of Gen Z
And
terms.
we finish it the same way.
in
I
the
love
same
it.
way. Mackenzie Barwell, thanks for doing this.
Louis,
Really
you're the
appreciate it.
best. I can't wait to come back. Please, I'm holding
Awesome.
you to
All
it.
right, our new Gen Z expert here on the Newsmakers podcast, Mackenzie Barwell. My thanks to her for joining me today. My thanks to Mike Corsten for directing today's episode, and my thanks to Chantel Grillo for rolling the prompter there at the very beginning of the show as well for the intro, because it was a long intro.
It was.
For someone who's still in school, it was quite a long intro.
long.
All right, thank you for listening, and while you're here, make sure you like and subscribe so you never miss an episode of this show or any of the other great shows we have for you, including Sportsline. Bubba sat down with Norm Miller today. Yeah, Norm Miller. So go check that out wherever you found this show, or you can go to chch.com/podcasts. One more time, thanks for listening. From all of us here at CHCH, I'm Louis Bucko. Have a great day.